Okay, this is going to be a demo of the 3 CM Automation Motormix units that are bolted together. They're all individual units and operate individually until you set them up in your software. Software like Pro Tools, for example, that can use 3 Mackie Huey protocol units. You set them up as 3 fader surfaces, and then in the software, that software will make them work in unison, having the first 8 faders on the first unit on the left, the second 8 faders in the middle unit, and the third 8 faders on the right. Or you can jumble them up if you want, but that's all controlled by the DAW, not in the units themselves. So they are considered individual units until they are hooked up to a DAW. And they hook up to the DAW just by standard MIDI ports, so each unit has its own power socket, power switch, MIDI in and out, and an accessory port which doesn't do anything, was never implemented as far as I'm aware. It might actually do something with the other unit that's called the Motormate, but they're not very easy to find, so good luck finding a Motormate. And also there's a contrast knob there for the LCD display. So there are 3 individual units that are just bolted together using the screws on the panels. So that's the unit. To use the units, you need a MIDI in and out interface for your DAW. So an in and out per unit. So that's 3 MIDI ins and outs you'll need to run it as one triple set in your DAW. So what I'm going to do now is run through the demo sequence on each one individually, just to show you the demo and that each unit appears to be working as it should. I think there's a sticky fader on the 3rd unit. I think the last fader on the 3rd unit can stick sometimes, but generally I think it works. I haven't hooked it up to a DAW for a long time. I don't intend to do that. I'll let whoever wants to buy it do that. So yeah, this is a sales video really, but I might leave it on YouTube long term just for interest of other people. It's bolted together as 3 units. I'm quite reluctant to strip it down to sell it as individual units, but if I have to, I will. I do have one spare set of side panels here, so that means that the side panel on the 1st unit, 2 side panels can go on 1 unit. This pair can go on a 2nd unit, and there'll be a 3rd unit with no side panels. You can either make some, or you can use the 3rd unit as spare parts. So, but yeah, I'm gonna attempt to sell it as one complete single unit, just for ease of getting rid of it, because I don't need it anymore. Anyway, I'm gonna go through the demo sequence. So I'm gonna hook up the first one, power socket in, and to run the demo sequence, when you first power it up, you just need to press the shift button. It tells you on the front panel anyway, but so power up and then press shift. So I'm going to press shift and it's going to go through the demo sequence on that 1st unit. Right, that's the demo of the first unit. It's going back round again for a second run, but I'm going to stop it there. So as you can see, I mean, the faders aren't the smoothest things in the world. They're, by today's standards, you know, there's probably much smoother units, and I think that one was kind of knocking when it got to its extent. Go back and watch the video again, but I don't think that would be a big deal, because most of the time your faders, you're going to want them at 0. You're not going to have them right up there, because, you know, you generally don't mix in plus values unless you really have to. So, you know, your fader 0 is there. Don't think it would be a big deal, but I think you can change these faders. I think they're standard Alps faders, so maybe you want to change out that fader. There's also one of the button switch lenses missing. You see this has like a plastic cover. This one doesn't have a plastic cover, but you can still push the button. It's just the plastic cover that's missing. Again, I don't think it's necessarily a big deal because it still works. So that's the condition of that first one. I'm going to go through and do the same sequence on the second and third units now. The second unit, there are 2 screws missing up the top there, but aside from that, everything else is complete. So I'm going to do the same sequence on the second one just to show you. Power on, press shift. I think the screen's very slightly different tone as well. It's a bit more yellow. These ones maybe a bit more green, but Okay, that's the second one done, so I'm going to power that one off. And then lastly, demo the third one. As I say, watch that last fader. I think it sometimes gets stuck, but it seems to catch itself up again. So might be an issue, you might want to replace it. Press shift. Okay, and that's the third unit done, so I'm going to power that off. So there you go, they all seem to work. That last fader seemed to behave that time, so maybe it was just the first time I powered it up after it had not been run for a long time that it was a bit sticky, and now that it's run a few times it might have freed itself up. So yeah, I mean it's an old unit. The you know, the faders are no doubt been used a lot, but you know, it's standard the test of time pretty well. I think they stopped supplying these units probably nearly 20 years ago now, so you know, it's an old unit, you can't expect it to be flawless, but generally it seems to perform pretty well. Everything seems to work, all the buttons and rotaries and everything seem to work, so I don't see that there's any problem. But you know, as I say, it's a used unit, you know, it is what it is. So hopefully that's a good demo of the 3 CM Automation motor mixes linked together, and hopefully that interests somebody. Thanks for watching, take care.